Welcome to our Sunday morning meditation service. These are the people that really come out in the weather. We're from Syracuse. We drive in this. This is nothing. And I don't know where you're from, but... Oh.
Wow.
Wow. That's really dedicated. Oh, I have to get something really quick.
There's a lot of room.
Two on each side. Two on each side now. So, ready to go.
This morning we're going to do Satanama, and you take your Satanama. Each time you close a mudra by joining the thumb with the finger, your ego seals its effect into your consciousness. Visualize or feel each individual sound come in the crown chakra at the top of the head, down through the middle of the head and out to infinity through the third eye. This is very important and must be done with each sound. It is an essential part of the cleansing process. Sa is the beginning. Ta is life. Na is change. Ma is rebirth. So, and I have a handout on the front desk that you can take with you that explains it, because this is really, you could do this on your own every morning. I could turn on like the television. It has the beautiful music and the visuals, soundscape, I think it's called, and I do it to that, and it just takes your breath away. What it does, it brings your breath in and gives you an uplift for the rest of your day. So let's do it. Sa
Good morning, everyone. Wow, that was really weak. Good morning. I just barely got here. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
That's better. You are the chosen of creation. That you would come out in this weather and listen to a talk that you've heard 100 times already. That's devotion. Well, because you're here, I know that today you're going to get the essence of this talk. You're really going to find an increase in joy and peace because you are going to get the essence of this talk. You know, last Sunday, I said that both sides in this war in Israel lack insight. They lack the insight to resolve their never-ending vengeance. And they lack this insight because they see life strictly as a physical affair, a physical, personal affair. And their God, on both sides, is too far off to intercede, out of reach, incapable of imparting any wisdom that would be of value in this conflict that they have and the conflicts that human beings have forever. So that's the dilemma. Master Eckhart Tolle speaks to this so that we understand it from our level of awareness. Can we have this first PowerPoint, please? You can read this in Stillness Speaks. That's page 35, paragraphs 3 and 4. Throughout history, humans have inflicted countless violent, cruel, and hurtful acts on each other, and continue to do so. Are they all to be condemned? Are they all guilty? Or are those acts simply expressions of unconsciousness, an evolutionary stage we are now growing out of? Jesus' words, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do," also apply to yourself. Throughout history, humans have inflicted countless violent, cruel, and hurtful acts on each other, and continue to do so. Are they all to be condemned? Are they all guilty? Are they all to be condemned? Are they all guilty? Or are those acts simply expressions of unconsciousness, an evolutionary stage that we are now growing out of? Jesus' words, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do," also apply to us. The life-healing truth is specifically involved with healing the mind, specifically involved in purifying the mind of the illusionary perception of ego-centered dominance and control. So the spiritual journey is a purification process of the mind, each mind, all minds, because they are all one with the overall mind of Creator. So that's our calling. And we've drifted a long way from that understanding. We grew up in that initial stage of believing life was a strictly physical, personal affair. We grew up in it, and we learned how to navigate our way through the conditions and circumstances from that perspective. But the navigation always had to do with figuring things out from one's personal perspective, one's point of view, one's understanding, trying to figure out how to get on better in the world and make things a little bit better for oneself and possibly in some cases for some others. But you see, that point of view lacks insight. Insight means a wisdom that rises from some other place other than observation, other than strictly intellectual, conjecturing. What we are really talking about is that there is a divine spark from the omnipresent intelligence that is life ongoing. It is that omnipresent intelligence that is in the process of transformation. So when Eckhart Tolle speaks about that stage of life, which is, from his point of view, is a level of unconsciousness, that level, that stage of life is one now that's being transcended. It seems like we've got a ways to go in this whole concept of transcending the initial approach to life, which has failed and failed and failed to bring about any type of deep joy, peace, compassion. But we're still at it. And we are faced with that challenge of purifying the illusionary concept of ego-centered dominance and power. I can give you an example of the attempt to control. Ego-centered dominance and control. I worked at Carnegie Hall Cocktail Lounge in New York City way back when. And it had a huge wraparound bar and some tables. And in Carnegie Hall, they don't just have one venue. The one venue is a couple of thousand seats, but they've got 2 or 3 others that are a little smaller. Now that cocktail lounge would handle the intermissions for these huge events that would happen there. And in order to do that, the manager of the cocktail lounge would set up 4 stations at this bar. It was that big. 4 different stations. And each station would have set in front of it already 6 shots of Seagram 7, 6 shots of gin, 6 shots of vodka, 6 shots of rum. They'd be lined up, and they'd have these 4 stations, and each station would have a cash drawer. And a sign would be put up on the bar, no specialty drinks. And then the manager would handle one station. The regular bartender would handle another station. The guy that worked in the kitchen that created the pastries and stuff, he would take a station, and then the waiter, usually one waiter only, would take a station. At that time, it was me. And you'd have this cash drawer, and you'd have this setup, and you had the strict rules that you would have to resolve that cash drawer. You had beside you what looked like a coffee can for tips, if anybody actually stopped long enough to leave a tip. You were supposed to take that money, just throw it into the can, and under no circumstances would you ever mix money or do anything but make change for a customer who's buying a drink. Well, after 20 minutes of insanity, because you have all these people breaking to get in and to get a drink before the second act. And it's chaos. It's sheer chaos. And you're doing everything you can to handle it, pouring the drinks and giving the chasers or the water or whatever they're asking for in the glass, and taking the money and making the change in the box. And after it's over, you have to resolve the cash drawer. And the glasses are all lined up there. It was $7 a shot, no matter what, whatever you wanted. It was $7. So you had the glasses sitting there, you had the cash drawer. So you're supposed to be able to figure out how many drinks were bought, and it should come down, to the penny. Well, it never did. And it's understandable because people are frantic to get their drink at the intermission time. They're reaching everywhere. And this guy, it's interesting because he had done this so long. You'd imagine that he would have finally caught on to the fact it can't be done. You can't control it. But no matter what, after we resolved the cash drawer, everybody would have to admit, well, I'm short $4, or I'm short $10, or actually ahead by $4. That would even make him more nervous. You're $4 ahead. But he would go crazy. And one day, I remember he actually looked like a person that had high blood pressure. You wouldn't have to take his blood pressure because his face was beet red after every one of these sessions with the crowds coming in. And I saw him just rail at a guy, I think it was the kitchen guy. He went absolutely nuts, and he was like choking and coughing. He was so angry while he was screaming at this guy. It turns out this guy had run out of Cokes for the rum and Cokes in his station. He had everybody had the sink with the ice and all stuff. He had run out of Cokes, and he actually left his station momentarily just to cross over to the next station and grab a Coke. And this manager just said, "How could you do that? Are you crazy? How could you possibly think you could get away with that?" Of course, he's thinking somebody would certainly have taken the drink off the bar, and you've lost money. Anyway, it was an excellent example of the kind of insanity that we share in the initial stage of consciousness. We believe that somehow or other we should really be able to control conditions and circumstances. Personally, we think that, and collectively, we think that. Of course, it creates a lot more of the insanity where we have defense mechanisms going off all over the place because it just doesn't work. Life doesn't have, that way about it, that you can actually, from your personal perspective, control it. There's going to be things that take place over which one has no control. So what are we called on to do? We're called on to recognize that. Until you recognize that, you're not going to take a serious look at the possibility that there's another dimension of awareness. And that in that dimension, one can actually gain peace of mind, which you cannot really fully gain, not over a long period of time, in the illusionary consciousness. But in this higher level of consciousness, peace of mind comes with the awareness. And that awareness is something that requires transcending the ego-centered illusion of dominance and control. We don't actually stop having a prospective ego-centered wise. We still have our limited goals and dreams and aspirations. But with wisdom, we approach them with a consciousness of a willingness and not a demand. We're willing to try to make this happen, but we're not in a state of, this is going to have to work out this way, I'm not really going to be happy otherwise. We do it in a willingness of knowing that outcomes may not belong to us, but we still take these steps, but we take gentle steps. And these are steps of wisdom, because we've learned from life that we cannot seriously expect to control everything down to the very last nuance. And that's all that this religion is about. Can you imagine all the religion that has occurred throughout the world over the centuries? Should have come to the realization that it hasn't been able to bring peace among these different cultures and people and etc. So, what is the way into the kingdom of heaven, which the Master of Life said is in our midst? The way is through the spiritual practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness, which means that your mind is not simply an instrument being tossed to and fro by the changing tides and circumstances of the world. It means that you have an agenda as you enter life every day. That agenda is to be mindful, so that you don't allow the mind to entertain negative thoughts or take on negative actions, because negative thoughts and negative actions blind the consciousness to any kind of harmony, peace, compassion, and understanding. That's it. There's no other religion. I just said it. That's it. Take to task your own awareness. Become more keenly aware through mindfulness when you are not embracing, open-minded, heartfelt, considerate thoughts. Because when you're not doing that, you are actually in a process of self-condemnation. Because all minds are in communication. Regardless of how many you feel are not part of that understanding, doesn't matter. So as you do it unto the least of these, as you carry on that consciousness into the least of the conditions and circumstances in which you find yourself, whatever you are embracing in that awareness is reflected back to you. That's what makes the universe honorable. We may ignore that, avoid that, and fail to enter into any kind of understanding of life. That's a choice we make. So I'm going to share this with you this is what happens. Can we realize that one's resurrection is a mind-transforming process in which one's ego-centered perception of separation is slowly replaced by Christ consciousness, or the one-in-all awareness. Course in Miracles speaks directly to this. Can we have this from the Course, please? It is impossible not to believe what you see, but it is equally impossible to see what you do not believe. Perceptions are built up on the basis of experience, and experience leads to beliefs. It is not until beliefs are fixed that perceptions stabilize. In effect, then, what you believe, you do see. That is what I meant when I said, "Blessed are ye who have not seen and still believe." For those who believe in the resurrection will see it. The resurrection is the complete triumph of Christ over the ego, not by attack, but by transcendence. The complete triumph of Christ consciousness. So that we can move out of history, we have to collapse history and the whole concept of Christ living 2,000 years ago, but has been absent and missing from human experience for all that time, and may come again on some distant day and take the faithful to him, with him to heaven. Christ consciousness has existed from the beginning of time. You can call it Buddha nature, you can call it divine insight, God consciousness, call it the Tao, it doesn't matter. There is capable, and every single human being, capable of accessing this more refined awareness, doing something that doesn't fit with the thinking of the world. Stepping out of the thinking of the world to be more considerate, way more considerate, way more understanding, way more willing to forgive and release. And what is that all about? It's a change in the mind's purpose. Can we have this next PowerPoint, please? This is from a booklet titled Reflections from Within. And this is a spiritual teacher named Garrett. Listen through the heart, for the heart knows what it is you need to know. It will be coming to you moment by moment, revealing lessons of love and forgiveness. Any sense of clutter or confusion will show you that fear is in the way. So it will be coming to you moment to moment, revealing lessons of love and forgiveness. Any sense of clutter or confusion will show you that fear is in the way. Fear, by the way, is the motivating element that creates dissent and hate. Because for some reason we are seriously concerned about what someone else might be saying about us, thinking about us, preparing to do to us. And you know, most of that is all projection. Most people don't think at all about you or me. They think about themselves if they're in the world, and they think about the divine joy and peace if they're in the enlightened state of consciousness. So this is the summation. I got ahead of myself. Can we realize that one's resurrection is a mind-transforming process in which one's ego-centered perception of separation is slowly replaced by Christ consciousness, or the one-in-all awareness? And this opens the mind to a new purpose, which is moment to moment. Look at how living like this. Imagine, there's nothing in front of you as you head into the day in the morning. There's not that agenda in front of you. Oh, got to get this done because it's going to improve my lot in life. Got to get that done. Got to get this place, get to fulfill, get this finished. Instead of that, you have been on the spiritual practice long enough so that you enter the day free, moment to moment, to receive what the moment requires. Self-interest seems like, what do you mean you're talking about? You're just letting go of self-interest altogether? Eventually, in the process, that completely diminishes. You have the joy and the peace of being free to be appropriate in whatever the moment requires, whatever the circumstances are presenting. Now, I think a lot of people in Unity are there or close to that, have experienced some of that. But if you're not, just ask yourself, if you believe that there are human beings living outside the purview of anger, hate, vengeance, deception, do you believe there are people living that loving life beautifully? Living moment to moment to moment, only realizing their oneness with everything that is. Recognizing there's a sacred oneness of which we can all be a part. And that shows you the advantages to that. Let's have this next PowerPoint, please. This is it. I think it's clearly put here in the workbook on page 349, paragraph 5. What would you see? The choice is given you. But learn and do not let your mind forget this law of seeing. You will look upon that which you feel within. If hatred finds a place within your heart, you will perceive a fearful world held cruelly in death's sharp-pointed, bony fingers. If you feel the love of God within you, you will look out on a world of mercy and love. That is actually all of religion. There is no other religion beside that right there. There is no other truth to be gained. It's there. That's it. What would you see? In other words, what would you really want to see? The choice is given you. But learn and do not let your mind forget this law of seeing. You will look upon that which you feel within. Your in-look becomes your outlook. If hatred finds a place within your heart, you will perceive a fearful world held cruelly in death's sharp-pointed, bony fingers. If you feel the love of God within you, you will look out on a world of mercy and love. I'm reluctant to use this particular illustration because I've used it so often. People say, can't this guy come up with something different? I can't, because to me, this is really clear. And this may stay with you longer and have a greater effect than any of the words. These two guys became real good friends while in the military, and they went their separate ways after the military, and the one guy moved to Chile, and the other guy stayed in the United States, but they kept a correspondence going back and forth. And they hadn't seen each other for quite a while, several years, but then the guy in Chile invited the guy in the United States to go to Chile and spend some time there, a couple of 3 weeks. And so he did. He went to Chile for a vacation, stayed at this guy's house. And this guy had a chicken coop outside his house. And the guy from the United States noticed that in that chicken coop there was an eagle pecking away with the chickens at the grain. And he said to his friend, "What's that eagle doing in the chicken coop?" He said, "Oh, I've had him for over a year. He fell out of a nest somewhere. We took him in. I didn't know what else to do with him, so I just put him in with the chickens." So the guy from the United States gets the idea the next day to go into the chicken coop, and he takes the eagle and he throws him up in the air. And the eagle comes fluttering back down on the ground. He does this about 2 or 3 times, but the eagle just keeps fluttering back down and pecking away at the grain that the chickens are eating. So then he goes and takes the eagle and climbs up on top of this shed just beyond the chicken coop, and throws the eagle in the air. The eagle comes fluttering down and then goes hobbling over into the chicken coop. He does this a couple of times. Then he finally takes the eagle, puts him under his arm, and hikes up this trail into the mountains until he's standing on the edge of this incredible precipice, and he looks out at the most beautiful view of the mountains and the forests that are in the mountains. And he takes the eagle and he holds him out there, and he flings him into the air. And the eagle flaps, flaps, but then comes back up and just flies and soars throughout this beautiful vista. And in that few moments, the eagle became an eagle. The heart of an eagle. We're all chickens at first. We've been held hostage. Don't even think about any other hostages. We've been held hostage to a thought system that has held us in fear and limitation, so that we're all in defense mode so often. For the most part, we simply just don't know how to live effectively, beautifully, joyfully, and that is why the truth has never left the world. Can you imagine somebody, a carpenter's son, saying to everybody, can you imagine this? Where does this wisdom come from, to be able to say this? This was said. My words will never pass away. Heaven and earth could pass away, but my words never. Because they are the words of truth in life. And when you understand this personality that lived 2,000 years ago, who actually is a symbol of the Christ consciousness that has been with us from the beginning of time, it speaks the truth. We're going to meditate for a few minutes. Listen to this beautiful crystal bowl. Take a couple of deep breaths. Release any cares or concerns you may have brought with you. Let us gently bring to mind the words that will never go away. I am in you. You are in me. I am the truth, the life that will make you free. Be still and know that I am God. I am in you. You are in me. I am the truth, the life that will make you free. Be still and know that I am God. I am in you. You are in me. I am the truth, the life that will make you free. Be still and know that I am the only creator. As we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space, let us go forth in mindfulness to deal with the people and circumstances who appear directly on our path, forgiving the rest of the world, releasing the rest of the world, and living a life of mindfulness, bestowing peace, forgiveness, compassion, and love. Thus is the will of God, and for this we give thanks. Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. Okay, Jay. Those of you watching this live stream online, you have the opportunity to tithe to unity in any number of ways outlined up here. We especially appreciate if you could tithe with recurring donations so that you choose an amount that you tithe every month from your credit card or bank account. And that way we know how much money to count on in what the things that we need. Okay, so let's just bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder. Bring it into our hands, into our minds and hearts. And bless them with this offering prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. Amen.
Peace be to you. Peace be to me. Peace be to all. And the world is free. Peace be to you. Peace be to me. Peace be to all, and the world is free. Peace be to you. Peace be to me. Peace be to all, and the world is free.
Okay, so we will have our discussion group in Fellowship Hall. There'll be some chairs in there. For any of you who'd like to stay and have any questions about this morning's talk or anything to do with Unity, I'll be there to...
Tuesday at 7 p.m. I will be doing the Samhain, and that is a ceremony that's being done all around the world. It is coming together, and people that have lost someone, and it doesn't matter how long ago. It's a ceremony that we do chanting and building up to when we have come either with the letter written or on a card, what we want to say to the person that passed over. And then as the ceremony comes to an end, we will go out onto the outside of the fellowship hall into the
Patio.
into the what?
It's a patio.
The patio.
If
Thank
it's-
you.
Okay.
And we will have a bowl that is going to be being lit by a wonderful member of the congregation, I hope, because I'm not that good at that. And we will burn the letter. And so many people have felt a communication happen from that experience. And it's being done all around the world. So it'll probably be about an hour and a half ceremony at the most. So come and we'll do chanting and singing and movement, and then that ceremony will take place.
Okay, everyone, have a beautiful day.